Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to Opinion Machine, the show where we talk about all things gaming, and my name is Killjoy. Today I want to talk about something that you may have seen recently, and I decided to bring it up, was recently I reacted to Don Hayes' top 100 video game tracks of all time, and there was kind of a continuing theme through a lot of it where I was like, you know what, some of these like more orchestral stuff isn't really necessarily doing it for me. There were some really good tracks in there, liked a lot of it, but there was some in there that weren't really doing it for me. Now, I said during that video about something like Xenoblade and Fire Emblem, maybe Jack being into that sort of stuff, didn't seem to respond overly well to that. So what I've done today is I've picked 5 songs from a few different games of what I would consider quite emotional pieces. Now, these differ in style, in tempo, we'll go with that. And I realised that emotional is a really bad word to describe some of those tracks, and the reason for that is any piece of music that gives you an emotional response, whether that be happy, joy, whatever, it's emotional. And obviously for me, some of it can be nostalgia, some of it can be just for the moment that's going on screen. So really what these are just examples of stuff that he may have had similar stuff to on his list, but maybe I prefer these for a lot of the reasons that I said in those videos where I was like, oh, I don't have enough oomph behind it, or movement, or feel, or something like that. So we're going to start things off today with a track from Persona 5. There's 5 songs we're going to listen to, and I'll kind of explain why I like them as we go, and you guys can listen to as well. And let's start things off. Nice use of strings and a piano. I think this works so well together. The piano has a low end. Kind of there's a drum in there as well. Simple percussion that is a boom, pa, pa, pa. Very limited. It kind of just slowly placed there. With the strings. Strings never overpowering. Always there. Never overpowering. Piano is just dong, dong, dong. Strings swell up a bit. A bit of a melody change. Track has that progression. It's not necessarily as obvious as some songs, but that boom, pa, 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 does enough. And the strings are just playing simple lines underneath. Piano's doing all the heavy lifting. Like strings coming going, fade out again. It's a simple track. It's got progression. I admit it's quite slow, but it has progression there. And this is the track ends, slowly taking away a lot of the other instruments. And then it repeats. So that track, right, I think is a phenomenal piece of music that really highlights, like, this is, if you don't know what Persona is, it's an RPG. And it really highlights the moments when the group are down on their luck, when something major happens, like if somebody goes missing, whatever. This track kicks in a lot of the time, and it is throughout the game, and it plays, and it comes in at the best moments. And for me, that really encapsulates the out of luck, almost depression kind of sounding a track. Like, it's got the the heavy hits on the piano there, dung, dung, and then with the melody of the piano, and then you have the drum sort of emphasizes on those dum bits, so you have boom, like explosion underneath. But it's not consistent, so it never feels like it's like your head's rattling or anything. The focus is on that piano melody going do 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 do, and the strings do something I really really like, where they're just there for a lot of the time, and then you get the bit where it goes da, 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 and it just comes in and out and in and out and in and out, and it never gets in the way of the piano. And oh man, that is just such a fantastic piece of music to really set the scenes of like something bad's happened, you know. And I think it's just, there's enough going for it. I could understand someone saying, hey, it's a little bit too repetitive. Completely get that criticism. But when you actually sort of listen to the nuances of the track, I think this is the sort of thing, I can't explain why I prefer this to a lot of what Jack on it had. I don't want to say a lot on his list. I liked a lot of what was on his list, for example. But this one I think just has the movement that I like with the feels and the real raw emotion of something bad's just happened. And I think they combine it perfect. This track does a perfect job. You know, this is a really, really, really solid track. Anyway, let's move on to the next thing. Alright, next up we have something from Fire Emblem Fates. This track is called Road Taken. By the way, I am going to put all the composers in the description. Unfortunately, there's a lot of Japanese composers, so I can't pronounce all their names. And rather than butcher them, I will tag them all in the bottom so you guys can go and listen to them. Yeah, Road Taken from Fire Emblem. This is actually a personal favourite of mine. I really, really, really like this track. And to be fair, a lot of these games, pretty much all these games on this list are RPGs. They're just different types. Persona's like a turn-based RPG, sort of the Japanese sort of style. Fire Emblem is a strategy turn-based RPG. But there's two versions of this track. There's the track that plays in combat, which is much more upbeat, and then there's Road Taken, the soft version that plays when you're on the battle screen and on extra maps. I really like this track, so let's have a listen. I'll talk you through it. Nice use of piano, nice use of like woodwind. There's a guitar in there as well. Building of strings in the background. So much going on in this track. Very small amount of percussion. Shakers and like little minor percussion instruments. Big swirls. Lets the piano break through with a melody. But there's always stuff going on the left and the right of the track. Guitar comes back in. Oboe. Or a trombone. Flutter. It's quite a hopeful sounding track as well. Bring in those oboes. A lot of progression in this track, but it always cycles back around to that melody. So we're getting back there, coming back round to it. Now we're playing it on the flutes. Piano and run up arpeggios. Strings now coming in behind it. The track really builds and fills out, and it knows when to slow down, drops out a little bit, and comes back in and brings everything together. And the track will again then loop there. I absolutely love that track. That is a fucking great piece of music. Like, it's really nice because when you think Fire Emblem, a lot of time when you're in combat, Fire Emblem does have some really, really epic, like, full-on, let's go to battle music. Road Taken is when you're on the map and you're looking at the map and you're trying to make decisions, you get this version of it. It's not the only track that plays in the game. It's just a lot of the side missions have this play. And so you get to sit there with this track playing. It's very calm. You sat there thinking about what you're doing. And then when you dive into battle, it kicks into the Ablaze version, if you like. I think that's what it's called. And it's like da 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 da, like really like full on, more percussion, everything. And it zooms back out, and you get this chill version of it, and it's just, it really, I don't know, it gets an emotional response out of me that I think it's just beautifully written. You've got that melody, that do 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 do, gets played on the piano, gets played on a flute, strings follow it up like almost like a call and response. Like, there's so many instruments going on in this track, and it starts off like da 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 da, and it builds a bit. And then builds, and then drops out a little bit, and then builds up again, and then finally drops out, and it's just like, wow. Like, it's stuff like this that I prefer when it comes to like orchestrated music, where it's still eliciting emotions from me. Maybe like this is more designed to not like Regret, the last track, which is very much, this is a really poignant moment which I like. Trying to like hammer home, whereas this is much more just really beautiful piece of music to listen to while you're tactically figuring out combat and stuff. And I just think this everything that I ever have criticism of tracks, I think this is the one that really nails it the most, where it's like, it's got that subtlety, it's got that slowness, and it's, you know, lightness. It's not trying to be overly heavy, but it has lovely movement in the track. The track and melody changes as we go along. Use of bringing in the different instruments to play the melody, like everything, and it's just a wonderful example of like I really rate this track as like, this is how you do like an orchestral track that's trying to be moody but at the same time hopeful and flowy, and I don't know, I could go on and on and on about this track. So let's move on to the next thing. Okay, so I've got two pieces of music from Divinity. Xenoblade Chronicles Definitive Edition. This one is a battle theme, but the reason I want to use this, because I think this is very different type of different emotion that it's trying to put at you. This is very in your face, this track, but it uses vocals. I say vocals. It uses non-worded vocals like la, like that kind of operatic. We have electric guitar in this. We have strings. I think this is a good combination of a ton of different styles. So let's have a listen. And this, like I said, it's a battle theme. Heavy piano. Great way to start a track. So we've got the modernization, we've got the beat, with the piano into the electric guitar, into this like that playing with the beat. Let's set the scene. That feeling in that play, and that so much feeling. Piano comes back. Some strings in the background as well. It's a wonderful battle theme. Build. The drums come in, the guitar come in, the strings. We have the big full-on bit. And vocals have come in now. Drums coming back in. I love, this is what I mean by like that movement in the music. It's going somewhere. It's not stopping. It might be slowly progressing, but we're going somewhere. We're going on a journey through the music. And the melody is now being sung rather than the guitar. Fucking powerful. Big change. We've got like orchestral stabs. Guitar just underlying the whole thing. Break. Just back to the piano. Actually, now I was thinking about it, I'm like, is this a battle theme or a cutscene battle theme? I can't remember. Might be both. Everything together now. The final push. I really hope people can see from this track alone. I love my orchestras. I love my mixture of instruments. Love all that stuff. But I really, I'm not gonna lie, I'm a massive fan of like an underlying like guitar, like with orchestras. That always sounds so cool. That is a awesome piece of music, and that's like taking the. This is on the flip side to a lot of slow. I want to make something clear. Slow music and moments are perfect when they hit, right? And there are plenty of those in games that I really do enjoy. This is just the flip side of that, being like, hey, what happens if we take all those orchestral instruments, the flutes, the woodwind, the strings, the brass, everything, whack it like a rock band underneath it as well. What epicness can we get from it? And with a track like this, you're getting a fantastic battle theme. Starts off slow, and it just builds, and then rockets, and then comes back down, and then builds right towards the end again. And everything, the vocals, everything you could possibly want is in this track. And I think it hits really bloody hard. I think it's just phenomenal. So, we've got another Xenoblade track next, so let's bring that up. Okay, so another track from the same game, and I just wanted to show off something a bit different. This is the nighttime version of Colony 9. Now, I love the daytime version of Colony 9. Most tracks have a day-night version. Love that. But I wanted to show something a bit different, so I've gone with the nighttime version. Let's listen. You'll notice this is a very different track. Lovely use of guitar in this. Marimba. Oh man, it's beautiful. Marimba, the flute playing the melody, guitar plucking underneath, playing the chords. Oh, it gives me shivers. Oh. But this to me is just as emotional as that other stuff. But it's different instruments. It doesn't necessarily have the drums and stuff underneath it. We've got the piano coming in now. And that's taken over as the lead instrument. Whoa, 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 in the background as well, which is lovely. This track almost gives it a feeling of wonder. But it's just, it's hitting on all the right notes. the right instruments, they're playing the right things. I don't necessarily... I mean, I think of this as the Colony 9 from the game. But I don't necessarily think this sounds like a colony. I'll make a bold statement. This could be used for like a woods area, this track. And if Ori and the Blind Forest was a happier game, I could kind of see this being in an area of the game. That kind of vibe is what this track gives me. Just a... Oh man, just beautiful. I'll get loops in a minute, but... There we go. Back to it, but it's just the flow of this track is so good. Like, I think Xenoblade Chronicles has one of the best soundtracks ever written. It might not be my like absolute favorite, but in terms of RPGs, I don't know if there's many games that has a better soundtrack than this. Like, it's definitely tough. Like, I'm not saying that it couldn't, but like for me, like this Persona 5, like, oh boy, Persona 5 has a very different type of soundtrack, but my god, is it good. But like Xenoblade Chronicles, oh my god, and Definitive Edition, it gives you both the original soundtrack and the remastered one. Oh man, it's so good. But yeah, like that is a track that gives me feelings and emotions in a different style, in a different way, and I think it just does it beautifully. I definitely think that could be in something like an Ori, with, you know, again, more of a hopeful kind of thing, probably at the end of the game when things have gotten better kind of feel. But it could be used in other games for different things. I don't necessarily think of it as like a city soundtrack, but it is used for Colony 9 in the game. Alright, let's move on to the last track. Alright, so I'm taking the main theme from Deus Ex Human Revolution. I love the soundtrack to this game. I love the soundtrack to the sequel. This is Michael McCann, as you can see at the bottom there. He is a fucking awesome composer. And this is a bit more sci-fi, a bit more electronic. And I want something a bit different from the other tracks I had shown. But, you know, they're all kind of just RPGs at the end of the day, which is, you know, I guess where a lot of people think of beautifully written music from. But let's have a listen. This track, by the way, is called Icarus. That big swell. Vocals. The swelling on this track, that real deep gutful sound, is, I think, one of the things I love about it so much. It's already very different sounding. Build, love that build. Dun, 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 dun. Strings, just playing that repetitive line now. I love it. The piano's like cracking through the middle. like drum. The vocals have come back. That build. Now we're in sort of that still building but sort of payoff section. We've moved the track along. Oh. That was something that was really important to a lot of these tracks. Just simple beat. That short period of time. Oh, it just keeps going. That drum, everything else is super loud coming at you. The drum just punches right through the track. Hold on that note. Oh. Again, that is an example of something that hits all the right notes for me. So you've got a lot of the like, whenever I was commenting on some of the stuff that Jack Don Hayes did have in his video, it was just that little tiny thing that was always a niggle where it's like, where's the drone or where's the drums? Now, you know, I want to make a point. Now, I'm not saying any of these tracks are necessarily better than the ones that he had in his list. What I'm trying to show off is that I made a lot of comments in those about certain types of styles, and I wanted to show off tracks that I think fit those things I was saying, and what I would necessarily, I guess, either look for or I personally think are better examples. But yeah, like these 5 tracks are just some examples of sort of more, I'll just use the word emotionally charged than maybe other video game music. But again, I said, like, they're in different styles. Like, this is just a grand epic track using that combination of, like, this is set in the future, so we've got like some sci-fi sound, like synths in there with like the more orchestral stuff. The Fire Emblem one does a fantastic job of just being just a beautiful piece of music. Same with the Colony 9 Night. The battle theme for Xenoblade has basically everything you could possibly want in a track, and then Regret is just a really solid style that works very well on those poignant moments. So hopefully you guys can see, you know, if you had problems with my criticisms of sort of the more I hate using the emotional stuff, let's say the more orchestral stuff, then hopefully these are examples that I can show to you guys and you can say, oh, okay, no, he does like stuff like this. It's just this is more my taste, this stuff. But yeah, I know you guys are probably sick of seeing video game music at this point, but you know what? I love it. It's great. It's really important to me. So thank you very much for watching the video. If you like the video, hit like. If you want to see more content like this, then hit subscribe down below. Links for Facebook and Twitter will be down below in the description, as always. And until next video, I will see you then.